Hi, everybody. It's good to be back. And today we are reviewing topic 11 on circles and cylinders. Tomorrow you will have a quiz. And so I have some videos that I've made here that you can refer to when working on this review in case you get stuck or can't remember how to do any of these problems. So let's take a look here at number 1. What is pi? And from where does it come? Where does pi come from? And when you look at a circle, here I'll draw one here. It's kind of as good as I'm going to do with my drawing. The distance around the circle is called the circumference. I'll just put a C to abbreviate that. Now, every circle you can measure its width. How wide is it at its widest point? And the widest point passes through the center of the circle. This measurement is called the diameter. Which I can label with just the letter D. And what's nice about circles is if you take the circumference and divide it by the diameter, it doesn't matter how large the circle is or how small the circle is. You'll always get the same result when you divide its circumference by the diameter. Measure the distance around it, measure the distance across that, and divide those. And you get that common ratio of 3.1415926535. It just keeps going on forever because it's irrational. That common ratio is called pi. Pi is a letter in the Greek alphabet. Much of our math was discovered or explained by people in Greece a long time ago, and that's why you hear a lot of Greek-sounding words like pi, which is a letter in the Greek alphabet, for example. But pi is circumference divided by diameter. And so if you look at your answer choices here, pi is diameter divided by radius? No. Pi is circumference divided by radius? No, that's actually something else called tau, which kind of looks like the pi symbol, only with just one branch, but you don't need to know that. Pi is circumference divided by diameter? True. Pi is circumference times diameter? Nope. So pi is the circumference of a circle divided by its diameter. That's where pi comes from. You take its circumference, the distance around the circle, divide by the diameter, the distance across the circle. Number 2, find the circumference of this circle and use the formula C equals pi d. Throughout this topic 11 quiz, you will be provided with any formulas that you need to use. But it would be good to memorize this formula. It's a very short formula. C equals pi d. All right. All right, so let's find the circumference. Do we know what d is? This 8-mile measurement here is going all the way across the circle, so that is our diameter. Okay, so to find the circumference, we take pi, and always use 3.14 for pi, and then we'll multiply by the diameter d, which is 8. All right, and so what you want to do is you're going to need to have a calculator for the quiz tomorrow. Here I have my calculator, and I'm going to go 3.14 times 8, and that equals 25.12. And since we're talking distance around the circle, it's just miles. It isn't square miles because we're not finding area. It's just miles. 25.12 miles is the circumference. And remember, circumference is just perimeter. It's just a fancy term we use for the perimeter of a circle. Okay? If you take that same circle with the 8-mile diameter, can you find its area? The area would be how much space there is inside of the figure here. Okay? How much space inside of that figure do we have? Use the formula A equals pi r squared. Area equals pi times the radius squared. So look at this circle. The diameter is 8 miles. We talked about that up here in number 2. If the diameter is 8 miles, what would its radius be? Remember, the radius goes from the center of the circle to the outside of the circle. Well, that's half the diameter. So cut this in half, we have 4 miles. for the radius. So now I know everything that needs to be substituted in here. Area is pi, 3.14. Again, we always use 3.14 for pi unless we're told to use something else. Times the radius, which is 4 squared. All right, and so we'll solve that. Looks like it's going to be 50.24, is it? Let's see, 3.14 times, I'm just going to multiply by 16 because I know that's what 4 squared is. And it does equal 50.24. I'm not asked to do any rounding here, so I'm going to leave it just as is. Since it is area, though, we want square units, so it's square miles. And we're done. 50.24 square miles. So circumference and area, they're both pretty quick and easy to solve. But again, you will want to have a calculator on the test tomorrow. All right, number 4, find the circumference of this circle. All right, use the formula C equals pi d. So I'm going to write that down, C equals pi d. Very simple formula. Pi, that's 3.14, times the diameter. What is the diameter of this circle? I see we have a measurement here of 15 inches. Is that the diameter? No, this is the radius, because it's connecting the center of the circle to the outside of the circle. The diameter would go all the way across the circle passing through the center. And the diameter is twice as long as the radius. So if the radius is 15 inches, then the diameter must be twice that, which would be 30 inches. Okay? So back to my equation, we have pi, 3.14, times the diameter, which is 30. Okay? So what do I have? What would that be? 94.2, it looks like. Let me check it. 3.14 times 30. Yeah, 94.2. 94 and 2/10 is our answer. It's circumference, so it's just the distance around the circle, so it's just inches. It's not square units because it isn't area. So 94.2 inches is the distance around this circle. The circumference is this distance here. Okay? Number 5, we're looking at that same circle, but this time I want to find the area of this circle. And we're using this formula, A equals pi r squared. Pi times the radius squared. Let's fill in what we know. Pi is 3.14 times the radius squared. Now this 15-inch measurement here is the radius, because remember, the radius connects the center of the circle to the outside of the circle. Okay, so that's the measurement I need, 15. So it's 3.14 times 15 squared. Now remember, you have to do your exponents first. So we have to find 15 squared, which is 15 times 15, which is 225. And then we take that times 3.14. I'll do that here quickly on my calculator. And I get 706.5. It's area, so it is square units, and we're working with inches. So I'll put inches down, but then it is squared. 706.5 square inches. Okay, is that pretty easy, finding the circumference and finding the area? They're pretty easy, aren't they? Pretty quick and easy to do. All right, number 6, find the area of the shaded portion of this figure. Oh my, oh my, oh my, the shaded portion, the purple parts. How am I going to find the area of just the purple sections of this figure? Well, we're going to have to look at this figure and see if we can recognize any shapes here. First of all, I do see this entire figure is in the shape of a square. And then I see I have 4 circles in this figure. Okay, so if I can find the area of the square, that would be a good start. But I don't want the area of the entire square. I need to remove these 4 circles. So I need to subtract those 4 circles. Hopefully you can see here, these circles are all identical as well in size. This has a diameter of 5 yards. This one here has a diameter of 5 yards. So this one here has a diameter of 5, and this one has a diameter of 5 as well. They're all identical. So if you can find the area of one of those circles, you could multiply that by 4, and it would give you the area of all 4 of those circles. Okay, so I'm going to take 4 times the area of one of those circles, and that'll give me the area of all 4 of those circles. And then I'm going to remove them from the square. I'm going to take them right out of there. We're going to remove those circles. That's why I'm subtracting. What will be left? Well, the parts that are purple. So that's how we're going to find the area of just the purple parts. So to find the area of a square, we take length times width. To find the area of a circle, we use the formula pi r squared. Now we want 4 of those circles, so I'm actually going to multiply that by 4. Okay, so we're going to find the area of the square, length times width, find the area of the 4 circles, pi r squared times 4, and then subtract those 4 circles from that square. All right, so now the big question, do you know the length and the width of this square? Do we know? It doesn't look like they're shown. But if this is 5 yards from here over to here, and then this one is also 5 yards from here over to here, then this must be 10 yards all the way across. I got a mess here. 10 yards all the way across. I'll write 10 yards up here. It'll be a little bit, well, not as messy. And guess what? You can draw that diameter going any direction as long as you pass through the center of the circle. So this is 5 yards. And you could show 5 yards going this way also. So it's going to be 10 yards this way also. This square is 10 by 10 yards. So if I multiply 10 times 10, that'll give me the area of that square, which is 100. Okay? Minus, now over here, I have 4 times pi, which is 3.14, times the radius squared. Do I know the radius of these circles? Well, this 5-yard measurement is the diameter, right? So if you want to know the radius, you'd have to take 5 yards and divide by 2, right? Which is 2.5 yards. So the radius is 2.5 yards. So it's 4 times pi, 3.14, times the radius, 2.5 squared. Okay, so let's do the math on that. So I'm going to take my calculator. I have to do the 2.5 squared first. We always start with our exponents. And then multiply by 3.14, and then by 4. Oops, I messed up. And I get 78.5. That's all 4 of the circles. That's all of their areas together. I'm just going to check that again, since I screwed up the first time. Yeah, 78.5. So now if I subtract these, I'll end up with 21.5 when I subtract those. Okay, now I need a label. 21.5 is my area, and it's square yards. We're working with yards here. Area is always square units. So there we have it. 21.5 square yards is the area of just the orange parts.